Hey everyone, this is Eric at Galloway Precision. We're going to do the Caracal trigger spring install in this video. This is part of our new line of products for the Caracal full size and compact in 9mm. Those of you who aren't familiar with this gun, it's coming out of Germany now, I believe, but it's originally from Abu Dhabi in the United Arab Emirates. Great little pistol. One of the head engineers involved in the Glock Perfection pistol was involved in this, and it shows. It's an incredibly simple gun. It has a huge amount of potential. We're offering some basic stuff to kind of upgrade it, to speed it up a little bit for the American market. But what we're going to do today is the striker spring and the trigger return spring. This may end up being a two-part video, so this will probably be just a frame. The next video will be the slides, so stick around for part two after we do this. Alright, let's go ahead and safety check it. The magazine out, it's empty. Nothing in there, click click. You can see this one, I've already had this apart once. This actually has our kit in it. This is what you'll get. It's a striker spring and a trigger return spring. We'll go ahead and install it though, so let's pop the gun apart. Just like you would a Glock. Push down the tabs, pull it right apart. You yank it too hard and the recoil spring will fly out on you. So there's our slide. We'll set it aside. Now we're going to take the frame assembly and we're going to drive these two pins out. This pin here and this pin here. We're going to use an 1/8 inch punch. There's nothing special about the punch I'm using. These are just Stanley punches. We go through a lot of them here. Give it a couple good whacks. Now, I want everybody to look real closely right here. Get another punch. You see this little spring right here. This is your tension spring for the takedown lever. But note how it sits in here, because this will come into play later. You'll see the little leg sticking out right here on the bottom. That's also what retains the pressure on the pin. So just kind of keep in mind when it comes out, we're going to take and just slide this punch out and pull the pin. Well, I said we're going to pull the pin. We're going to push, and it's out of the way there. Well, there it goes. Alright, so the front chassis pin's out. Now you can use 1/8 inch punch here, but you're better off to use a 1/16. It will take some gumption to get it out. Grab some pliers here. Pull the pin all the way out. Now, what you can do is fight with this thing a little bit, because it's going to have to come out. It's going to be really, really tight, especially the first time you do that. Like I said, this one's been out a couple times, so it comes out a little easier. See how this fell out? Just pops right out. Now note the direction, of course. This goes towards the back. The notch goes towards the back. Alright. Let's set this aside for just a second. There's your retaining spring. Okay. We'll show you how that goes back in reassembly. Here's your chassis. Comes out. This just sits inside there. Okay, there's a little post it sits on. Alright. Now what we're going to do with this section, excuse me, you can actually see how this little rascal works. It's got this little round piece here that it actuates, kind of like the reset bar on a Glock. Now, some needle nose pliers. Let's just see right here. Alright, just pops right off. Feed it through kind of like this. It comes right out, alright? Now here again, that one already had our part in it. We'll go ahead and go through the whole 9 yards. It's our new striker spring. I'm going to put it back in a bag for when the other one comes out, so we don't confuse which one's which. Alright. So you'll take your new trigger return spring. It doesn't really matter how it goes on. We left you a little bit wider of a section though to kind of encourage you to install it on this crossbar. Just a bit of leverage here. Okay. Now, push your trigger back. And what you can do is kind of snake these two parts around, hold the trigger back, then you can take just like that. Okay. Now, if this looks like it's jammed, that's okay. This will all straighten itself out in just a little bit, okay? But right there you go. All neatly installed, everything works like normal. Now, we're going to do the chassis part first. Go ahead and put your catch, your slide catch, release, whatever you want to call it. Go ahead and put it back in place. Make sure it's on top of the spring, okay, because that's what pushes up on it. Or excuse me, make sure it's on the bottom of the spring. Pardon me. You want the little tab, the little lever spring right here. I don't think you can see that real good. Make sure this spring right here, make sure this arm is on top, alright? Go ahead and slide the whole thing down and kind of get everything sort of lined up. Push it down in place. Now this is one of those parts. Remember, the notch goes towards the back. What we're going to do is go ahead and slide it in. I want you to take the long part of this spring, goes towards the back, and this is going to be one of those kind of annoying things that people are going to say, this sucks, and it really does. There's no sugarcoating this. In order to get everything in, you're probably far better off to hold one leg like that, snake this thing down inside. Alright, now this is, okay, let me see if you guys can see this. I'm going to kind of give it some taps here to get it started. Make sure everything's sort of seated. Let's go ahead and hold the back of the frame down. Let's do that real quick. Alright, the back of it's seated. Now, alright, let's go ahead and get some leverage on that. I'm going to take and push this spring forward just a little bit. Push with this punch to kind of, there it goes. Now, we got our spring sort of located. Okay. Actually, let me reverse this. Okay. All right. Okay. Now it's a little bit of manipulation. I know it's a pain, but it's how it has to work. All right. So now we can just check that. Got plenty of tension on it. Remember what I said earlier, if this gets in a bind, don't sweat it. Take your screwdriver right here. Just kind of push on the back of this tab. And it will sort of fight you just a little bit because everything's in a bind. Give it a tap. Now your trigger moves freely, okay? Alright, so that's part one. We just did the frame. The next video we're going to do is the slide, which is actually the aggravating part. Anyway, so take a look at that here in just a second. Alright, thanks.